Hey guys, how's it going and welcome back. So today we're going to talk to you about how important it is to be able to control the fans on your Macintosh computer or even a PC, because you can actually get max fan speed control for your PC. So if your Windows computer doesn't already have built-in software to control fan speeds, then this is an ideal program, and it keeps an eye on anything that has a sensor attached to it, like your CPU cores, your DIMMs, for your memory, your video card, GPU proximity sensors, LCD display if you have one, as well as hard drives that are compatible to the program. On a Mac, of course, same deal, right? We need to control our fan speeds, and on Macintosh computers, we actually don't have that control. We have a base level minimum fan speed that the fan always runs at. In the case of my late 2015 iMac, 27-inch 5K Retina, its minimum speed is actually 1200, and with a maximum speed of 2700. So I tend to run this thing usually about 1750, but I decided to bring it up to 2000 RPM just to see if things would run cooler, and they actually do run cooler, especially at a rested state. Now I do have a download in progress right now for a program actually getting max fan speed control for Mac OS Snow Leopard for my Mac Mini. So that's actually taking up some bit of heat to the system for, graphics and the processor and so on. So we're actually sitting around 36, 37 degrees on our CPU cores. Our graphics card is currently sitting around 41 degrees. These are the main two core components that I worry about the most, because RAM generally doesn't really heat up much, okay, and neither does your hard drive generally. So we're definitely concerned about critical temperatures for thermal throttling, right? And so we want to try and keep that under control so that our computers don't thermal throttle. So we need to be able to control those fan speeds. So in the case of this, we're at 2000 RPM. We're in, like I said, the mid-30s on the CPU, and we're definitely sitting around 41 on the GPU. So I'm going to run Cinebench R9, R23, and even though this is a benchmarking program, it's going to actually put the system under a good load. And I will fast forward, of course, through, because it's going to take a while to do the program, so I'll fast forward to it, and we'll find out what our temperatures end up being in the end. Okay, so silence now from me until this test is done. But we are going to do the multi-core test, because that's going to do all our cores. Okay, looks like our test has completed with a final score of 3351. Average CPU temperatures seem to be around 75. Cores, in that 40s area, 40, 47, 48 kind of temperature. This thing is not thermal throttling. The fan is definitely doing its job. The system is starting to cool down rather, quickly, which is good. We've already seen over a 20-degree decrease in only a matter of seconds. So I think as far as 2000 RPM goes, having the fan constantly at that area is definitely good. Now, of course, this is using Cinebench, right? And this is their Cinebench R23. Now, we're not here to compare against the other computers. We know that when we go against the others, there's definitely some differences, right? But anyway, so I want to do one more test here, and no, don't replace it, and that is using a program called Heaven, and we're going to run that through, and we're going to see what our temperatures are. Now, because everything's still already hot and still actually up in the 40s, that's actually a good way to see if we can really push this up and over. So let me fire up Heaven. Now we're going to use the Extreme preset on this, and run. And quality, ultra, settings. We want the resolution up really high, so 2560 by 1440. And 8 times anti-lacing. Let's go full screen. Okay, now we're not going to be able to get at our window, are we? No. So let's take it off full screen. Show max fan. Alright, let's put this over here. Alright, so let's do this as the benchmark. And again, I'm going to sit in silence until this is all done. So our temps aren't going up very high. Alright, that's it. We're only in the 50s on the CPUs, and we got 80 degrees out of our GPU. Impressive. Still not throttling, still not overheating anything, so I'd say that's a win. Now, granted, this is not the fastest Mac on the planet by any means, especially when you're talking about, you know, 2 gigs worth of video RAM, and, you know, it is a quad-core 3.2, which, you know, if you're not doing something super intensive like this sort of thing, I mean, it is quite the fast computer and works quite well for everything I ever needed it for. You know, the big thing here is a lot of people are using Macs even for video editing, and programs like Cinebench and Heaven and many others are really good for testing how hard you can really push it and how much heat you're going to create, and if you're going to thermo throttle or maybe cook something. And in this case, it seems that with being able to keep the fans, or in this case fan in this computer, at 2000 RPM consistently, we're not breaking any heat barriers. You know, we're not going to get into those danger zones. And even though, you know, Heaven isn't as intense of testing from the looks of things as Cinebench, either one, I mean, Cinebench did run things hotter, but Cinebench didn't run the video card quite as hot. in comparison. It's only a couple of degrees difference, but a couple of degrees is a couple of degrees, right? But still nothing in the critical areas or high enough temperatures that things are going to thermal throttle. So my recommendation is, if there is any way you can control, and keep in mind we're also doing a download of a program at the same time as running these tests. So, you know, in Google Chrome, it's a RAM hog, and, you know, it hogs processing power. And it looks like, let's see, is my download actually done? Yeah, it is. Okay, so if we quit out of Chrome, we could run Cinebench one more time. And again, I'll fast forward everything, and you know, so that it's all high speed, and we'll see what the average temps are. Now that we have nothing running in the background, the only thing going to be running is max fan speed control. So let's fire up Cinebench, because, you know, it's going to really put things through. And we're going to go with the multi-core again. Already we see things throttling up. Let's see how it does. We got 10 minutes. Wow, I do. You guys get it instant. Pretty well. Okay, looks like we're done. So, on average here, our CPU cores average 75. Not bad. GPU 48. HD graphics GPU 67. LCD 37. Hard drive 36. And of course our RAM was high 30s to early 40s. Not too shabby. And that's already starting out with the chips being a little on the hot side because of the last test we did. So we're definitely within all safety limitations, and it looks like Cinebench really does things a lot more intense in areas that Heaven doesn't, and vice versa. So it's kind of one of those things. Probably why we have so many of these programs. Of course, we also have Geekbench as well, and I don't have Geekbench on here, but we could run that too all day long, and we're going to get similar readings. So it's a very good idea to be able to control your fan speeds on your computer. Now, the late 2015 iMac, which is mine, 5K Retina, now it does have only one fan, same as your late 2013s do, and many other iMac models only have one fan. When it comes to the MacBooks, a lot of them only have one fan, some of them have two fans, right? And there are Mac systems like the old 2000, I believe it's an 07 that I have, the 20-inch iMac. It's got like three in there. It's got one for the hard drive, one for your CD-ROM, and the other one will actually cool off the power supply and everything else. So it got a lot of fans in there and a lot of cooling power. Anyways, so that's where we're at. And max fan speed control will control every fan that is in your computer. I only have one, so it only shows one. If I had 2 or 3 or 4 fans, it would show all those that it has access to. The big thing is having the access to them. But anyways, that concludes this video. Let me know what you guys think of the results. Like I said, this is the late 2015 27-inch iMac 5K Retina. It has 2 gigs of video in it. For video RAM, it's Radeon graphics card, of course. It's the M380 R9. It's 24 gigs of RAM in this thing, as well as it does have a Kingston SSD hard drive. And what else can I tell you about this thing? 27-inch, 5K retina, all that. Yeah, we're pretty much about there. So that's the results we've got. Anyways, see you on the next one.